What is up, my fellow Planet Tyrell tiers? Is that a thing? Thanks to all my subscribers for sticking with the channel. I'm your host, Lord Wonder. Welcome back for another book discussion. And this one, I've been reading a lot of books on the channel. I've been reviewing books that are very, very, very long in length. This one takes the cake. I'm going to do a little kind of a short discussion about it for those of you who don't want to watch this whole video, who just want to kind of my thoughts and should I read it, we'll get into that. I'll do that, and then later, if you want to watch the whole video, then I'll get more to a bit more spoilers and why I'm a little bit conflicted about the series. But let me start by saying this. Welcome back. Thanks for coming and watching another video. Where am I? What am I doing? Doing so many stuff. I still do the podcast with James Daniel Walsh, the Woody Allen Retrospective Podcast. But as for Planet Tyrell releases, they're still going to be sporadic. They're still going to be every 6 months just because I'm very busy. So I apologize for that. But yeah, The Wandering Inn is a book series that honestly has got a reputation. I think right now it's officially got the reputation for the longest running fantasy series right now in terms of length. The story is so long. It's the longest one just by sheer volume. That's what I mean. I'm not talking about quality or anything like that. So this book series is a LitRPG fantasy series, basically a fantasy series with RPG mechanics. You know, think Sword Art Online. I've spoken about Sword Art Online in the past. I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, the isekai genre, the genre of being teleported into a game world, you know, this is a series like that, but this isn't quite that. And to be honest with you, I don't really want to read an isekai story about, you know, this person's in a game world and they have all this power, they're overpowered, blah, 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 blah. Recently, I watched Solo Leveling. The anime, Friends, my buddy Friends, he recommended me watch it. I mean, it was one of the most hyped anime of 2023. It was fine. It was fine. It was fun to watch, you know. I don't mind disposable fun. I'm an RPG guy. I love Final Fantasy. That's one of my main core, Square Enix games is probably my history, if I never mentioned that before. So yeah, Solo Leveling was cool. So I was open to read a RPG literature book series. Now, fair disclosure, I've read more harem for fun, harem type stuff. Like there was a series called Immortal Supers, where it led more into a bit of harem and a bit, you know, ecchi, you know, kind of stuff. I just wanted something disposable. I'm not gonna. It's okay. If you want to listen to it, but it's fan service. Another series I listened to, which I listened to more recently, is A Pawn's Rebellion. That series as well. Again, harem based, you know, you know, another world, The Wandering Inn isn't quite that. The Wandering Inn is a just let's talk about the story. Let's do the official review now. The Wandering Inn is the story itself is written by Pyra Arbor, an author who decided to kind of hide, for good reason, hide who she is. And the story she wrote as a web comic, web literary story, for free. You can go to a website and read the whole thing for free now. The way I heard about it, a lot of YouTubers were talking about how it's the longest running series. It's not quite like those other out of this world, a human character, a modern character gets teleported to a game world. It's different than the rest, and it's not a harem. It's not a male protagonist that just gets all these women, gets all these powers. It's not that. It's a little bit more interesting, and I will concur that yes, it isn't that harem-y kind of trash thing. There's a little bit more depth to it, but after finishing the whole series, I have to say, man, I am overwhelmed. Because I'll tell you this. I've read, the last two books I discussed, I think I discussed The Wheel of Time and then the Robin Hobb series as well, which I'll put on the screen and I'll link in the description as well. Those were 13, 14 books and I thought they were long. Finishing The Wandering Inn and I've finished all 12 books as well as the side story called Gravesong, I would say The Wandering Inn, the releases, the book releases, not the website, not the current website story, the book releases are probably 10 times as long as The Wheel of Time. I'm not even lying. It was a mammoth task for me to get through these. And I have thoughts about that. And the first thing I want to say is, if you want a series that just completely engulfs you, you've got hours and hours and hours of content, and you don't mind listening to something that you're just going to listen to for a long time, and you don't mind fantasy RPG, The Wandering Inn is your story. Pirate Arbor as a writer, I think she's a really good writer. I think her writing style, her prose, is very... it reminds me of Grim Tales. Sometimes the way she talks in a lot of metaphors and Grim Tales, and a very airy, fairy feel to it. It's cool, it's nice, I like it. It reminds me of like a legendary story, like a story that was already written, 30 years ago, sometimes reminding me of, not the Lord of the Rings, more like fairy tale-ish but with a modern twist, which I think is really cool. Honestly, I enjoyed The Wandering Inn for the most part. I think it's a good story. I do think that, honestly, if you're not prepared to listen to a long book, you're not going to be very happy. But I would say it's definitely a character-driven story. And I like the characters. Most of the characters are female. So again, you don't get that over male-powered nonsense that we got in Sword Art Online. And I really enjoyed it. The thing that intrigued me the most about this book series is that I like the idea of the concept of a modern character, modern human being transported into a Dungeons and Dragons. It's cool, but do something with it. Make it interesting. And the first thing I will say, which again, I haven't finished the whole story. The story's still going on. You're not quite sure what's going on. Like, for example, I would say, I'm not convinced that this world that this book series is set in is a game world. It seems like a world that has game mechanics, and that there's a big differentiation with that. Imagine the world that we live in now, where you level up. You actually level up. It's part of the world. It's part of, I don't know why, but that's what makes this book series actually interesting. When people die in this book series, they don't seem to get a phoenix down or a magical item to come back from the dead, stuff like that. Not really. And the interesting thing is that when modern characters like myself are put in this world and they think I think that's one of the most interesting things about this book. Human characters get teleported to this world for who knows why. That's still a mystery. And they don't know what's going on, and they live in the world. And the main character, Erin Solstice, she was teleported to this world out of the blue. And the first book is her coming to grips with surviving. And for the most part, I enjoyed the build-up. But the length of the audiobooks, I think these books are 30, 40, 50, 60 hours per book. And that left me sometimes waning, damn, this book is too long. These books are too long. But let me tell you something. When this book slaps, it slaps. Pirate Arbor can write action just as well as Brandon Sanderson, Michael J. Sullivan. Some of the authors are spoken apart. The action in this book series can be great. But most of this book, I feel the story is with the character building, living with the characters. And actually, I should say, it's kind of a slice of life mixed with adventure action RPG story. But I think the nail that I need to drive down, this isn't a typical isekai that you're teleported to this world, you level up and you just get lost in that system. People are living in this world. And I think there was another anime that I can't remember that was like this, that they were living their lives in this world. And the species, all the different species, the Antinium, I can't remember all the species right now. It's very well developed, very well written. And I got to tell you, man, I had to power through this series just to get to the end. And it's not even close to being over. In fact, I was talking to Nuance after I finished this series, and I said and actually the thing that bothered me the most about this book series is that when you read the books that are released on Audible, the publisher, Pirate Arbor's publisher, has chopped up the webcomic into these books for you to consume on Audible. Now, if I didn't mention this, because I'm losing my train of thought a little bit, if I didn't mention this, for the most part, you can only enjoy this book two ways. You go on Pirate Arbor's website and read it, or you get the audiobooks. I know you guys are more dedicated physical book readers than me, but let me tell you something. Sit back and enjoy the audiobook of this. If you're on a desert island, enjoy The Wandering Inn for the 2 years it might take you to complete it. I literally had to listen to this book just straight for a year to catch up. And, you know I keep banging on about the length, but it has to be stressed that this is a long book, to the point where I would say you need to finish the first 2 books, not the first one, the first 2 books to really get a taste of what this world has to offer and what Pirate Arbor is doing. And I don't really want to get into spoilers, but I just want to say that there's more good than bad with The Wandering Inn, in my opinion. The main character, Erin Solstice, in the first book, I didn't mind her. She was getting to grips with the world, and she decided to become an innkeeper and level up as an innkeeper, just for survival purposes, and that was cool. But I gotta tell you something. By the time I got to book 6 or 7, I hated Erin Solstice. Now, if you really get into this franchise, I think hating the main character is pretty normal. A lot of people say that Erin Solstice is one of the worst characters in the book, but it's everyone else in this story that makes it really compelling. Like Ryoka Griffin is another human character in the story, and I'll be honest with you, she feels like the character, the pivotal character, and she is fucking awesome. Ryoka Griffin is an amazing character. From what she does, she's a runner, she sends messages in this medieval magical world, but she doesn't want to level up. She doesn't want to level up because she is stubborn. And that leads her, and she's a martial artist as well. Honestly, I don't know why. I'm at odds with saying why wasn't Ryoka the main character, but I kind of understand why Erin Solstice is the main character, even though she's annoying as fuck. It's like, some people say, I've spoken to a lot of people that watch One Piece, and they say Luffy is the most nothing character. But everyone else, Sanji, Zoro, Nami, Nicole, Robin, all of the characters are so much more interesting than Luffy. Luffy's just a powerhouse, the idiot, the Goku, just like Dragon Ball Z. Goku, some people say Goku is the least interesting character. Vegeta is amazing. Gohan's amazing. And I agree. And this is one of them stories where the main character, although they're the focal point, they are less interesting than the side characters. And in The Wandering Inn, there are a lot of characters. The world building is good. And you know what? I'm just going to decide not to get into spoilers, to be honest with you. What I do want to say is, when you catch up, if you listen to the book on Audible, when you catch up, you will realize that you haven't even started. You haven't even scratched the surface of this story, which is disheartening to say the least. Like, I went on Reddit, and again, this isn't a spoiler. I went on Reddit, and I'll put it on the screen. Everyone's confirmed, even when you catch up, you're just like a 10th into the story. And I can't even fathom how someone could write this much story. Like, a lot of people say that, I think there's a conspiracy that think that Pirate Arbor is a group of people, or Pirate Arbor is AI. I don't know. I do feel like it's a real person, and I've read her posts. She does these blog posts talking about her personal life. It's commendable to see an author this driven, this creative, but yeah, I don't know what to say. There's a lot of hype for this book series all over YouTube. It's one of the great fantasy series. I do want to say that I'm glad that this story has RPG elements, but in a way, the RPG elements, the leveling up system, is an afterthought. It's really all about the characters, the interactions, and you know, it is kind of 50, I would say 70% slice of life. But when this series slaps with the action, it slaps, man. It slaps hard, and it's great. If Pirate Arbor wrote a traditional, shorter trilogy with her writing skill, she'll be phenomenal. And I do want to say, Pirate Arbor did a interview with another creator that anyone that has read the first two books, no spoilers in this as well. I thought it was very illuminating. The Wandering Inn is a decent series, man, and it serves a purpose. I just want to say this. I need to stress, this isn't your typical humans going into a game world and they're leveling up. It might seem that way, but it's not. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of mystery going on. And the book was there for me, man. The book was always, there's just so much of this book to enjoy, to be there for you, that if you were marooned on the island, this book will keep you company. This book will be your Wilson for the longest time. But with all my praise, I want to get to the negatives. I do think that this book can be overly preachy. I think the philosophies about good and evil and doing the right thing, it can be preachy as fuck. And that is attributed to the main character, Erin Solstice, where it's just, she is a wet blanket at times, and she is sanctimonious and preachy and black and white, and it serves a purpose. I get it, but honestly, I will just tell you now, the main character is the reason not to read this book. You're not reading the book for the main character. She is, I don't even know what to say. It's like, she is the onions in the ice cream. You know, get through Erin, give this book a chance. I do recommend it, but I think the length of this book series is going to put people off, because it is so long. It is so long. It is the longest. It has got the title for being the longest series out there. I think it might be the longest fantasy series, period. No joke, no bullshit. I think it's on Wikipedia and stuff like that, but I just really enjoyed the game elements, not having harem elements really, and just having really compelling characters that are not the main character. The main character is not the draw. I just can't stress that enough. The main character is not the draw. Everyone else is. I think it's worth your time. Yeah, and this book series has been running since 2017, 2018. And I think the thing that bothered me is when I caught up with the books, I wasn't happy with the length of time that had passed in the released books. Like, honestly, this part, I wouldn't consider a spoiler. It's just something to put you in the right frame of mind. The 12 books that are released now and the side story, all of that seems to have taken place within 9 months. And that bothered me, because for a book series that is longer, maybe 6 or 7 times longer than the Wheel of Time, why the fuck can only 8 months pass or 9 months pass in a book that is 13, 14? It doesn't make any sense. But then what you got to realize, and I think you should go in to realize, the web story that this is taken from, it's already, I don't know, it's years ahead. So enjoy the book series. Don't think about the length of time. Enjoy the story. But I would say, if you're going on a long trip and you want to read something fantasy based with good character writing, The Wandering Inn is good for you. If you don't like long drawn out stories, a lot of it slice of life, then I don't think you'll get past The Wandering Inn, really. You need to get to book 2. You need to get to the end of book 2 if you think it's worth it. For me, it was. But it was only because I had nuance tweaking in my ear, check it out, and all the reviews on YouTube. And I want to second it. I think Pirate Arbor is a really, really, really good writer. This series might be too long, but coming at the end of it, I do think it's worth it. And I think if you know what you're getting into, you'll enjoy it. I do think so. But you need to get to book 2. Book 1 is a long-ass intro, which has a banger of an ending, but it leads into book 2. And book 2 sets a scene with a whole bunch of characters. You get a better look at the world. But in saying that, you know, when you look at each book that's released, each book in itself, in the grand scheme of the whole story of The Wandering Inn, each book is a chapter. And that's why at the end of 12 books, you're only on month 9 of the story. And as the Redditors have shown me, I'm not even close. So prepare. I mean, Pirate Arbor said that this book series can go for 40 years. And that sounds ludicrous. It really does. And I completely understand that. But if you get into The Wandering Inn, you'll see why. If I had to give The Wandering Inn a rating, I would give it a solid B. The reason why I can't give it higher than that, honestly, I do wish this series, the fat was trimmed. Because honestly, this it felt like a slice of life for most of it, but the propelling story and the mystery and the great characters like Ryoka Griffin and Magnolia Reinhardt and the Drakes, the society, it kept me engaged, especially when I got to book 2. You can't just listen to book 1. You need to get to book 2 and then go on. All I can tell you, this book will be there for you. It's great to have in the background. It's good to be part of the the community of the book series. But in all fairness, the book series might not be for you. You might fucking hate Erin Solstice. She is annoying as fuck. I can't even lie. The first 2 books, it's just her sanctimonious and her preaching and saying, "Oh, that's bad." Give me a fucking break. But the other characters are so realistic, especially Ryoka Griffin. She is so much like me as a person and like a lot of people, modern people, you know, like if you like Solo Leveling and you like that main character and how that character became a very serious, most of the characters in The Wandering Inn are like that. Erin is the goofy, Luffy, Goku, foolish, black and white character that is annoying, you know, but I guess it serves a purpose and I'm aware of it now. And Gravesong, the first side story book, personally, I didn't think it warranted being outside of The Wandering Inn. Like, when you're reading The Wandering Inn, there are a lot of side characters. You go to this person, you go to this land, and this Gravesong book that just came out earlier this year is a side story. But why is it a separate book? I don't think it needed to be a separate book. I just don't. The most recent book, The Witcher Webs, man, that was a big downer. I'm not going to lie. The writing was good, but a lot of characters... I think another thing that bothered me about this book is sometimes you'll see a character, like there's an elf character, I think her name's Syria, who, when you first hear about them, they appear to be very regal, very wise, and then later you'll find out stuff about them where they're not that at all. They're actually very immature. So characters reveal themselves to be something else. And this latest book, The Witcher Webs, I found and again, if you haven't read it, no spoilers, you wouldn't understand what I'm saying, but I just want to say, because I can't find a lot of reviews on YouTube talking about it. The Witcher Webs, overall, standing back and looking top down on it as a story, it was cool. But honestly, it was bloated and there was so much I want to say about, honestly, I don't know. There's just not enough time. And honestly, this review's longer than I wanted it to be. I just wanted to give everyone a clear, give everyone my feeling of The Wandering Inn. Overall, I liked it, but there was times that I just wanted to fast forward it. And I can't blame people for even skipping a little bit. Especially this last book, it was a bit of a chore, I'm not going to lie. But I liked hearing how the pieces fit. The ultimate villain, the ultimate villain so far, their name is AK right now. I love that villain. That villain's awesome. And this last book just brought up another villain, The Witcher Webs, apparently. Well, whatever. You decide, I don't know. But anyway, I think I should wrap up now. I think I should wrap up now. I'm so glad to have caught up with The Wandering Inn. It was a mammoth. I can't stress how long this book series is. It was a mammoth task. I don't know if you're going to get there. If you have caught up with The Wandering Inn books, not the ongoing web story, just the books, congratulations. If you're one of the people that have read all of the web story and you're like, you think you know, you don't know, you have no fucking idea how long and big the story is, then. But how could, I nearly made a horrible sin, by the way. The narrator for the book, Andrea Parsons, did such a phenomenal job with the voice acting. She does the voices of like 7 different species, 50 different characters, and her voice talent is one of the best I've ever heard. I mean, I praise Jackie Faber, the voice actor Jackie Faber, for phenomenal acting, but Andrea Parsons surpasses her. So check it out on Audible. Use a credit to listen to 2 books. Don't one. I can't stress this enough. Listen to 2 books. Let me know what you think of The Wandering Inn. And I'm moving on to the Rift War Saga, another long-ass book series that I'm going to read. So who knows when I'll get to that for a review. But I'm glad I finally got to talk about The Wandering Inn. I have no doubt I did not do this review justice, honestly. But boy, guys, you're in for one hell of a long ride. That's all I can say. So if there's anyone in the community who are Wandering Inn fans that read the book, let me know what you think down below. Honestly, if I had more time, I would have spoke about every book individually. Zell for the win. That's what I'll say. Zell for the win. Zell Schiffertail for the win. And yeah, man. Yeah. What can I say? The Wandering Inn, solid B. Check it out. And that's it for now. That is it for now. I'm going into the Rift War Saga now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next review, which obviously won't be anytime soon. But I want to say thank you for the subscribers. I read all the comments. I reply to all the comments. If you've never heard of The Wandering Inn, check out the other reviews. People are gushing over it. But I feel like a lot of people just gave up on this series after 6 books or something. And I don't blame them. It's a mammoth task. Do you want to take on this mammoth task? Let's find out together. Leave your thoughts down below. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Peace out.